One of the major challenges that lots of startup founders face, especially in the early stage, is actually trying to get their first 100 customers. But oftentimes, when you're able to get your first 100 customers, it's easier to get your first 500, your first 1,000, and so on and so forth. And when we think about when we get our first 100 customers for startups, we'll think about things like maybe partnerships and PRs and press releases or maybe networking and the likes, right? Now, while all of these methods are actually very effective, content is a very amazing and very result-yielding way to go. So if you want a method that you could actually use to get your first 100 customers to your startup in a very progressive rate, I'm talking about to 500, to 1,000, to 10,000, and so on and so forth, without spending money on advertisement, without having to spend money doing partnerships or trying to get people in your network and all that kind of stuff, you definitely want to build a content marketing machine to support your business from the 100 customers you're going to get at first, up all the way to as many customers as you want, depending on your business goals. When you have content up front, it kind of sort of increases your chances and increases the chances of success with all these other methods. And yeah guys, a quick disclaimer, this method is not an overnight method. And I myself personally, as a marketing agency owner, I am currently using this method to gradually bring in clients and traction to my business. So it's something that has worked, and I'm also going to be sharing with you guys case studies of very successful businesses that have been able to apply content to their startup, and they have gotten lots of visibility, brand awareness, leads, and so on and so forth. So guys, this is going to be a white about section, so I had everything in details in this tutorial, and don't forget to make sure to stay to the end of this video because I also dropped some really amazing tools and free resources that you could check out to make your journey way easier. So guys, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now let's go over the first thing that you need to do to actually get your first 100 customers using the content marketing method. The first thing you need to do, right, which I think that even before you launch your product or your service, you need to make sure you have a very clear understanding of who your target audience is, right? So we're going to name this number one, target audience, right? Now, when it comes to doing your target audience research, there are so many ways to do it. And what you're trying to gather or what you're trying to create with all of the data you gather from your target audience research is a buyer questionnaire, right? You're actually trying to create a buyer questionnaire. And once you have a very clear and very detailed buyer questionnaire, you will create the most effective content to actually bring in the customers you deserve. And if you stick with me in a moment, I'm going to be sharing why this method actually works, right? But the first thing you need to do is you need to know your target audience. Now, the second thing you need to do, right, is you need to know and be very clear on the problems that you're offering to the solutions you're offering to your customers, right? So I'm going to put it as your solutions, right? Now, who is your target audience? Your target audience is simply someone that is best fit for the solutions you're offering, right? And what is your solution? That's pretty clear. What you want to offer to your target audience. So it means that for you to actually create effective content, two things must be in place, right? You need to have your target audience that has a problem, and then you need to know your solution, which is the product, right? Now, your solution has to rhyme with the target audience's problem. Now, if the solution you're offering doesn't solve your supposed ICP or doesn't solve the problem of your buyer questionnaire, then it is wrong. Okay? So, first off, there is no product problem fit. There is no solution problem fit. Right? So if you haven't gotten that assignment done, you want to go back to your dashboard and make sure that you are creating a solution that's actually helpful to your ideal customers or that person you want to target, right? So I'm guessing that at this point you already understand how to do your target audience research, but either ways, I created an entire video dedicated to that, which is like the second video I posted on my YouTube channel, so you can definitely check it out. And once you get that out of the door, let's go over the next thing that you need to do, which is the third thing on our list, right? So I'm going to take this off. I'm still going to draw this down where I'm going because it's been very helpful for us throughout this course. But now let's go over to number three. The next thing you need to do is that you need to come up with a problem solution statement, right? So, for example, if you own a fintech company or startup, and your bad person or your ideal is or are busy developers, right? So these are people who work in tech, they're developers, and you're too busy to actually manage your finances. So you want to go ahead and let's say you've gone ahead and you've created a product to actually help them really manage their finances effectively, help them with budgeting, help them with some other side financial services that they would otherwise not have the time to do, right? So your app is offering that kind of ease. So what do you think your problem statement will be? Very simple. We help busy developers manage their finances automatically, for instance, right? So once you have your target audience, like I was mentioning here, and then you have the problem that you're solving, right? You want to merge them together and actually form a statement. So, for example, in the statement I just mentioned, I'm talking about devs, sorry, devs, right? And the solution is automatic financial whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right? So the third thing you want to do is you want to come up with your problem solution statement, right? So I'm going to put it here as problem solution statement, right? This is very, very crucial because it's going to give you a very clear, simple statement understanding of who you're targeting and the problems you're solving for them, right? The solutions you are bringing to the table and the problems that they have and who, right? So it's a one statement including all of this, right? And sometimes we might want to go more detailed and be like, okay, so we help developers, busy developers, um, manage their finances because you don't have time, or just be more specific. You can do that. But what I have here is good enough, right? So I'm gonna go over to the next step. So this first step I'm about to share with you is something that you should have done when you're performing your target audience research, which is creating your buyer questionnaire, right? So your buyer questionnaire should actually include this information. And what is that? You should know what, right? Where your ideal target audience are actually hanging out, right? So YouTube. Now this is I'm talking about online strictly here, right? Instagram, Facebook. It could be IG. It could be that's Instagram. It could be Twitter, right? Whatever platform it is, you want to know this particular person I want to target. What platform do they hang on or they hang out on? Now, this is very, very crucial because when we go to actually create the content that's actually going to close these customers and actually bring them to us, right? It's only going to make sense to post this content on platforms where they are already on, right? Platforms where they spend most of their time on, well, if they're online on social media, right? Now, it can be any platform. It could even be Twitch. It could be Discord, right? You just need to know exactly where your ideal customers are hanging out the most, and you want to create the most content on those platforms. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't create content on other platforms, right? You can go ahead to create content on other platforms, but you need to find a platform that is a bit general, like where your target audience would actually be found. It could be LinkedIn, right? So this is very, very crucial. So you need to dial in on it. So for example, let's say for my fintech application, I have users with YouTube, and I also have devs on Instagram. I think we have lots of devs on X actually. But this is just some examples. I'm not giving like detailed or trying to make you get the point. Fifth step, what you want to do is that you want to go ahead and then dive really deep, or most likely get this information from your buyer questionnaire, right? So the fifth thing you want to actually know is what really, really interests my audience. What are the kind of topics or content that they like to consume, right? So this is very helpful. So you can actually reach out to them in a format or with some type of ideas that they are already interested in, right? You find a way to merge it together. I'm going to be showing you or telling you this in more detail, but Knowing what kind of topics, content topics your ideal customer is interested in makes your entire content creation process easier because you're not trying to do something that's against their interest. So everything thing you're creating, every single content you're creating has to be guided with this, with these steps, with this idea, with this insight. And to make this easier for you, I created an entire video showing you step by step how I actually approach target audience research and how to actually do it yourself, right? So if you want to get more information about this whole tag audience thing and how to actually get data for this decisions, then you're going to check out that video. And now before we go into the next step, what I want you to take home from all the steps from 1 to 5 is what we're trying to do is we're trying to find solution problem fit, right? We are trying to know our customer's problems, right? Like the back of our palm. For me, for instance, I own a content marketing agency, trying to build it. And I know my customers like the back of my palm. And one thing about knowing your customers is it's not a 1 day thing. It's not something you do at once and oh wow, you have a full grasp all at once of every single thing you need to know about your target audience, right? It takes time and you just need to not overthink it. I think I mentioned this very clearly in the video I created about doing the target audience research, right? You need to make sure you are not overthinking the process. You just learn as you go. You learn as you keep learning. You learn as you keep researching. That being said, let's go over to the sixth step, which is where we actually start to generate the ideas that would pull these people in. Generating the ideas, right? So when you're generating ideas, there is a method that's going to make it very, very simple for you, right? And that's what I want to show you. So you know the problems that your customers are facing, right? I'm assuming at this point you do. And you also know the solution, right? Which is most likely your product. What you want to do is that you want to use content to show these people that they have a problem, right? And they can use your solution to solve it. Simple. How do you do that? You want to create content that is intersecting here. Every kind of content you should create to achieve this kind of result, it should be the intersection between problems and solutions, right? So you want to look at content that are related to the problems of your customers, but not unrelated to your solution. It should be related to the solution you're offering. For example, if you have a productivity app, for instance, right? You shouldn't be creating content around cooking, for instance, or creating content around gadgets. Because yes, you have a problem with procrastination, and you go ahead and create content like gadgets or cooking, things that are just so unrelated and things and content that are actually not hitting the nail on the head. So what you can rather do instead of creating content like this, not like creating gadgets or cooking content bad, but in this use case, it doesn't really make sense, right? So your solution is offering what a productivity app, right? The different features a productivity app can have, to-dos, reminders, whatever it might be, right? So you already have the solution detailed to actually help them overcome procrastination. So what are you going to do? You're going to create content that intersects problem with solution. And what an example of that can be for this particular use case would be creating content around, for example, you're creating around, productivity tips for procrastinators. This is simple, straight to the point content that you can create to target someone who has an issue with procrastination and actually wants some productivity tips. And here is the icing on the cake, right? Well, still the icing on the cake. We're going to go to the cherry on the cake. So when you create content like this, let's say for example you create a YouTube video because my ideal target is my fintech app, or let's say for this productivity app now in this case is YouTube because there are lots of productivity content on YouTube. So I go ahead and I create a video, make the video really good with the tips I'm going to share with you later on this video. And I'm going to be like, okay, productivity tips for procrastinators. 5 productivity tips. How to overcome procrastination, right? 5 best methods to overcome procrastination. No writing in journals, make it more catchy. And by the time you begin to approach your content idea generation with this method, it will be difficult for you to create content that do not attract the people you want. And it's not just enough to attract the people you want, right? We need to make sure we are retaining these people. I'm going to show you how to attract and retain. And it's when you begin to attract and retain that you are actually getting a better part of the deal, right? You're setting yourself up for success in years to come. So now let's talk about a different example for like a different product. So I was earlier talking about fintech, right? So let's say my solution is fintech, right? And the problem they have is, no time for finance management. These people, Mark, for instance, right? Mark has issues managing his finances because he's a busy developer, right? And then this is fintech app, finally, you get the point. And then finally is a fintech application that helps devs and business professionals plan and automate their finances automatically with their solution. So, what kind of content can you create for this use case? You want to take a guess? Very simple. Fintech, no time for financial management, right? And devs. So, what kind of content can I create? Simple. Financial planning 101 for devs. I could change 101, right, to be tips. So I could have financial planning tips for devs. I could even go more broad and say financial planning tips for busy professionals, right? Financial management tips for busy professionals. How to automate financial planning for beginners. How to automate financial planning for busy professionals. How to plan your finances even if you don't have time. Now, these are just different variations of like the same topic that almost likely be targeting the same thing, but you get the point. There are actually several tools that you can use for this process of getting good content ideas. And you want to approach them the same way, right? For example, when you're using a tool like Moz, you want to put in a keyword. So now that you know exactly what you are trying to solve and you have linked the problem to the solution together, you can go and put things like financial planning for devs, for example, in Moz, and see what Moz gives you. And if it gives you a more general, idea, you can then actually go ahead and create a video about this, right? Now, what's going to happen with this video you're going to create is that it's going to go in, right, into the YouTube algorithm. And what's going to happen with the YouTube algorithm is they're going to show people, devs that are obviously on YouTube, and devs that are obviously already interested in some type of topic about financial planning, right? Because that's how the algorithm works. You watch videos about financial planning, YouTube feeds you more video about financial planning, right? Which gives you a good stage if you are a new content creator, right? This could be different types of content, right? Not just YouTube. And you could do blogs, you could do tweets, you could do LinkedIn posts, but the same strategy I'm going to teach you that I'm teaching right now actually applies, right? So you need to create content that intersects in between. Okay, and another tool I like to use is Answer the Public, right? Answer the Public is a very amazing tool to get lots of ideas from just putting a major keyword, right? So if you go in there, put in financial planning, I advise to start broad. From financial planning, go to financial management, try different variations of the keyword that you want to target for an idea you are looking to generate. And then you could go even more in depth into financial planning for devs, financial planning for business professionals, and the likes. And now, to make your content ideation process even much more easier, while you have an intersector ready in your head, you can go ahead and actually start to look at influences in your space, right? So influences in the spaces of the target audience, right? So influencers that are talking about financial planning and also influencers maybe in the dev space, for instance, right? So you want to look at the type of content that these people are creating and you want to get ideas from them. Another way to do this is to actually use a tool like Buzzimo, right? Buzzimo, you can actually look at it. And then if you don't want to go the influencer route, you can actually go the competitor route, right? So by just looking at your competitor social media page, if they have something good going on, obviously you only want to model over competitors that are actually doing something good with their content, right? Look at them. What kind of content have they created about the past? And what kind of content actually perform well? So this is across all streaming platforms. You can also check this out on blogs, right? And see what kind of blogs have actually performed well and why. Is it because my target audience actually resonate more with this topic? Okay, how can I make this topic better? How can I create better content about this topic? Now, from all the tips I've mentioned, you should be able to generate or come up with about 10, 20, 50 content ideas that you could start creating content about, right? And now let's go over the next thing, right? The next section of this, which is how to go from the idea that you have to actually creating it, right? And then We're also going to be looking at how to then funnel people from your content to actually become customers, which is the conversion. How does it actually happen? And how can you actually implement it for your business or your startup? And that being said, I want to touch on something that's going to make your entire content generation process very easy, right? I'm going to show you how to get literally endless content ideas. Now, to do this, I like to use what I call content pillars, right? And if you're completely new to content, you might be wondering, what are content pillars? Why the content need to have pillars? I'm going to be explaining that. Now, content pillars are simply content themes, right? And they actually serve as a strategic way to create and generate content ideas while still being on the same page, right? While still being on the same page and also having like a direction for your content, right? So that's the way I would define content pillars, but you could do more research to know exactly what it really means. But for example, for my fintech application, right? Not sure why I'm obsessed with fintech in this in this course, but you know. So now for my fintech app, right? What are the content pillars that I can come up with? It's very simple to come up with content pillars, right? So when you think about your solution and you think about the problem your customers are facing, then you can think about, okay, what kind of content can I create in the middle that actually serve them? So for this fintech app, I could create content around um, financial management, right? I can create content around financial budgeting, right? I can also go ahead and create content around apps, like financial apps, right? And by apps, I mean automation, right? You know how to automate all of this because that's what we help them do. I can also go ahead and talk about things like investing, I could talk about things like taxes, right? So now, from each of these five content pillars, I could come up with so many other subtopics that are very, very valuable, right? And I can also go ahead and create topics, content on these topics directly. I can go ahead and create a blog post on financial management, right? For busy professionals or for busy devs, right? Which is going to cover every single thing, like an all-inclusive blog. And then if you want more details on each and every single point you mentioned, then you go over to other blogs that actually highlights each of those points mentioned in more detail. And to make this even easier for you, what I like to do with all my content here is I like to find the what, the why, and the how, right? So this is how I would, turn each and every single of this into so many content ideas, right? I will start with the what. So what is financial management? I can create a blog post on that, a video on that, a tweet on that, a LinkedIn post on that, an IG, whatever. Why financial budgeting? How to automate your finances with apps or how to automate your finances simply, right? And then I could talk about what is investing, why investing, how to invest, what is financial budgeting, why financial budgeting, how to do financial budgeting. So you see, by just coming up with content pillars and actually coming up with what, the why, and the how each of this, I can come up with different types of combinations of this that are still going to be very, very valuable to my target audience, right? Which are busy devs, right? And for example, if I want to go even more in depth, like an idea I gave you the last time, I could go into financial management for devs specifically, right? Financial budgeting for devs, apps to manage finances for devs, investing for devs, and taxes for developers, right? So you can see that with all of this, you can never actually run out of content ideas that would find the person or that will be found by the person that you want to become your customer. And with all of these ideas, you can go ahead and create different types of content. Like you could create listicles, you could list 5 apps or 5 tips. You could create explainer videos, you could create tutorial how-to guides that are diving like into the main deals, into the main point and actually showing them step by step how to actually achieve something. And in this case, how to become better financial managers. And that's that for generating content ideas. Now we're gonna go over creating the content in itself, right? So we're gonna clean this up and we're gonna go to number 7, which is creating the content, right? So when it comes to creating content, obviously you need to be platform conscious and platform specific, right? Everyone knows that for YouTube, what goes on YouTube are videos, right? You cannot have a blog on YouTube, okay? So on your website, you can have a blog, you could have a YouTube video somewhere embedded in your website. But then people know that for LinkedIn, right, you would have videos, you would also have articles and the likes. And then everyone knows that for TikTok, right, you can obviously only create video-based content, right? So there are different kind of content you can create, right? Different content formats. We have videos, we have blogs, we have tweets. I mean, literally every platform, you get different type of content that are optimized or that are displayed on those platforms, right? So which of them should you actually go for? Now, as I mentioned earlier, the kind of content you should create or the formats should also be dependent on the platform that your audiences hang out the most. That's how I would approach it, right? Now, it doesn't just mean that I will create only YouTube videos, right? I can also go ahead and create blogs because I know that some of my customers might also be reading blogs. So to make it easier for me, if most of my customers are on YouTube or if most of my customers are on blogs, let's use blogs, right? What I would do is I will create a blog. I will make sure that this particular blog is SEO optimized. I'll make a blog on financial management, my fintech app 101. 101. In this blog, I can have several other mini little topics that are really targeted, right? But that's not what we're talking about in this video. But you want to make sure that they are SEO optimized, right? What do I mean by SEO optimized? Search engine optimization. Google owns YouTube. YouTube also works with SEO, and even most social media platforms right now are already optimizing for search engine optimization, which means that every single piece of content you place on platforms, you have to be SEO conscious, right? So I can go ahead and create a blog. Now, if I also have my audience on YouTube, what I can do is from this blog, I can literally script a YouTube video that I can use to create content, right? And then from my YouTube video, I could break it down to TikTok shorts. Sorry, TikTok. And I could also break it down to YouTube shorts, right? Or if my audience is on Instagram, I could also break it down to Instagram Reels, right? So you see, even from this blog, I could get LinkedIn posts, I could get tweets, which is this whole idea is content repurposing, right? I could get from this LinkedIn, I could get content to create to put on graphics, for instance. I could create graphics about some of the content I have on the blogs, right? So you see that for one particular piece, so you can see that from one particular piece of content, long form, you can get all the short form content, right? So that's personally how I would approach this to make it way easier for me, right? For one long form, I break it down to another form of long form. You can go from videos to blogs. Yes, you can transcribe your videos into a blog. And then from the blog, I take it down into LinkedIn, I take it down to TikTok, and I take it down into, you know, other content format. Now that you know how to approach content creation, let's talk about the tools and the various ways you can do this. Very simple. For videos, you have to get a camera and you have to film, or you can do faceless methods. There are lots of tutorials these days on how to actually optimize faceless methods for your marketing efforts. You can do that, but I would prefer that you actually show your face, right? If you want to do videos. And then for blogs, obviously, you want to write, you want to have a content outline for your blog, you want to make sure you're doing keyword research, using the best keyword research tools out there, and get a very clean idea of who you want to target and what kind of keywords you actually want to look for. And then when it comes to SEO, you want to approach it in a way that you are trying to target the keywords that your audience is already searching for, right? So that's how you should be approaching blogs and even YouTube. All right, so that's that for actually crafting the content in itself. Now let's look at the next step in the process, which is going to be conversion. Right now, how do we actually convert these people that are watching this amazing content you've created into buyers? That's the question. It's very simple. You want to create a lead magnet funnel. This is the holy grail that is going to make your content effort more profitable. Now, what is a lead magnet? Quite simple. A lead magnet, right? It is simply a piece of information that you can use to lure or get your a lead, a contact information, which is someone you could reach out to, right? You have contact, right? So it's simply a way to attract people to give you their contact information, right? And for me, I don't like this definition because I think lead magnets are more value inclined than it just being because you want to get your customers' contact details, right? So once you have a lead magnet that works really, really well, and people buy into the lead magnet, you can get their emails, right? Now you have their contact details, right? So even if all of your YouTube videos go down the mud, go sink down deep in the deepest part of the earth, you have emails to go back to fall back on, right? And once people choose to give you their email address, it means they trust you to an extent. So it's a good one. And then with the emails, right, what we're going to do through this file is that we're going to go ahead and give them even more value. And with more value, right, comes the ads. And with the ads, if you do well enough, it's going to come the customer, right? So you see here that we went from lead magnet to emails to value, offering more value, to the accent, and then even to the customers, right? Now, let me give an example of what this could be. For example, my fintech app, Fini or Fine, whatever name I give it, right? I can create a YouTube video on financial management 101 for devs or business professionals, right? And I create this video, put it out there. I don't just stop at creating a video. I create a lead magnet to go along with this video. So in the video, I announce, oh guys, so if you want a financial planning worksheet to make this process entirely easy for you, you can actually check down my lead magnet. Sorry. You can actually check out the worksheet I created in the first link of this description, right? In my video. What am I saying? You can actually check the link, the first link in the description of my video to get access for free. You can get this. So they go to the link, they watch the video, go to the link. Once they go to the link, then you get their emails, right? Well, if they want to get your stuff, of course. And once you get their emails, instead of you to be like, oh, okay, so I have a product, I have something I want to sell to you, you can take it even an extra mile and actually give them more value. Like, okay, now you've gotten this particular worksheet, how about I give you a checklist again? Or how about I teach you to an email course of how to actually go from A to Z and become a boss at managing your finances, right? Now, with all of this, in each of the value-based emails, you could tweak, you could just chip in your offer, right? Now, another way I like to do this is right on the video, right? Right on the video that I've created, or blog, or whatever. I like to already talk about what I do, right? So finding maybe the name of a YouTube channel is actually finding, and like, oh yeah, actually finding we actually have we actually help we actually help we actually have so yeah, it's finding we actually have an application that helps beauty professionals automatically manage your finances, right? So we help you track your records, we help you budget, we help you plan, all that kind of stuff in one application. No ads, we're just telling them, right? You can also tell them you could ask if you want to check it out, right? But we're not trying to push. We're not trying to be like, check out my application. We're trying to do it more intelligently, right? If that's the word. And so from video to lead magnet to emails to value to ads into the customer, right? Now, people after watching the video, the tutorial you created, would want to know more about your brand. I think that's just how we are, curious. So like, oh, okay, I'm actually looking for options to help me manage my finances. So of course, fine, I'm going to check you out. They go to your website. You're like, oh my god, I like what you do. I'm going to buy it. right? And another way to do this is to offer free trials. I mean, I think this is all known right now in the startup space, but you can offer free trials. Free trials are also a very good lead magnet, but sometimes to go the extra mile, you can add something else, right, that is more attractive. Like the whole idea is to actually create an offer that people can't refuse. You can learn more about this in Alex Hormoz's books, The $100 Million Offer. It talks about this a lot, right? So with content, with this method, right, it is so difficult for you not to get your first 1,000 customers. It is so difficult for you not to get your first 5,000, your first 10,000, right? So what you want to do is you want to keep rinsing and repeating this process, right? So the more customers you have, you should make videos. You can make some UGCs, right? Just a little tip. But the more customers you have, good for you, right? Meaning the more you can create videos that are tailored to this particular person, and then the more videos you create, the more people fall into the lead magnet, the more people come to lead magnets, the more emails they receive, the more value you give them, the more access you can make, and naturally you have built a system, right? That will not just give you your first 100 customers, but give you your first however amount. Dash. Place the numbers. Do you get it? And yeah, guys, it's a wrap, right? So at this point, you have so much power in your hands. And what I want you to do is I want you to go and actually start creating this content. Please do not overthink it. Start and learn as you go, right? But even when you're creating content, you need to make sure you're creating good enough content. But the fact that you're already creating content that is targeting your customer's problem is good, right? So you want to go a step further to make sure your blog, for example, is engaging. You want to make sure your video, for example, is engaging and people don't feel like, oh, I just want to click off. You know, no. You want to make it really sweet. There's several strategies to do this. If you guys want me to make a video about this, I can definitely do that. But this is exactly how you build a system like that, right? And you can even go more in depth. For every video, you don't have to ask. Some videos just create, right? Just create. And yes, that is. So now let's look at some case studies of brands that have actually done every single thing I taught you in this video and that have gotten success, right? So I'm just going to do my whiteboard because we're done here, right? And what we're talking about now is case studies. This is actually for my doubting Thomases that need some more, you know, that need some more clarity if this actually works, right? So we're gonna put the ball away now, and I'm gonna share some brands with you that have actually done this and done this effectively well over the years. All right, so now the first brand on my list is HubSpot. Now, HubSpot, I'm going to be dropping some screenshot on the screen. HubSpot is one of the go-tos if you are learning or trying to see or figure out if content is the way for you to go, right? HubSpot has an entire content marketing machine that is backing their business, that is backing their product, which is HubSpot. They have produced tons of very valuable content up to the extent that they are now a go-to when it comes to CRMs, right? Because they have just created so many valuable content, right? That people now use their content as reference. So good, right? Another brand that has done this is Jasper AI, right? Jasper AI has an entire content machine around the brand itself, right? So many brands, right? We have brands like Buffer, for instance, right? We have brands like Airbnb, for instance, right? These are brands that have actually taken content and used it to get the best out of their customers. And so the list is endless. I could give you 100, I could even give you 1,000, I could give you 10,000, right? Of businesses that have actually taken content to get their first and continuous. And to make this even more fun for you, right, so you can have something you can always reference, I created a case study sheet, right, like a white paper sort of, that actually contains case studies of businesses and startups that actually went from like 0 to 100, right? By just leveraging the power of organic content creation, right? So if you want to grab that, I'm going to drop a link down to it first in the description box below. Now remember, the beauty of YouTube or the beauty of creating content, videos, blogs, whatever, is you can create a blog today and then the blog gets 100 videos, maybe over the next 1 2 weeks, right? Now, if you look at that blog and that blog is very, very optimized, you could have more and more people read the blog. You can have more and more people watch the video, right? So you discover you posted a video 5 months ago, and that video, when you first posted it, it was maybe like 100 views, but now it's like 100,000 views, right? It just keeps increasing, right? The amount of views you keep getting on your videos and your content out there just keeps increasing, right? Also, especially for blogs and for YouTube videos, right? All the social media platforms, same as well, right? Maybe that reel that you created a few days back, right? It's not doing really well, right? But I think this method works best when it comes to longevity on platforms like YouTube and blogs, right? So I've seen, right? And that is a wrap, you guys. I don't want to rumble further or rant further. So if you guys have any questions for me, if you guys got any contemplations whatsoever, let me know down in the comment section below. It's open to every single one of you. And if you like this video, you can also like it with a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to our channel so that you can get more videos like this more consistently, and YouTube always remind you whenever we have videos like this out there. So until then, have a lovely life.